I know you decided to go to SMU, which is Southern Methodist University. I guess, what was that the only college that accepted you? What kind of brought on that decision to go to that school?
Yeah, opportunity. So, it was an interesting high school experience. I was injury prone, and so I had a lot of colleges that took interest in me and were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna offer you just finish a full season."
Yeah,
And then when I couldn't, they pulled it, and so I had the opportunity because one of my trainers played with the coach of SMU, and by the grace of God, he was like, "Yo, give this kid a shot. He's at least a good kid.
right,
He's a leader. He'll bring energy to the team and could potentially do something great." And so SMU ended up being one of the few options I had. The other options just didn't have, I want to say, the best education programs. And then
yeah.
also, I don't want to say fooled because it was a great experience, but I got brought in by that campus feel. The place was beautiful. They had fountains everywhere, and it was more than what I had seen. So I was like, I'm going here.
Gotcha. So now you're at SMU. How was that experience? It seems like you're playing football there. Are things going good? Is it eye opening? I know, coming from a small town of Muskegon and uh, going to a university such as Michigan State University, that was, it was eye opening because it's obviously a PWI, and even though I went to a suburban high school for a portion of high school, it was still, 40,000 people. I mean, the campus was, bigger than my town that I was from. So that was definitely an eye-opening experience, and it took me an adjustment uh, in terms of trying to get into the swing of things, especially while playing football at Michigan State. So how was your adjustment, so to speak, of uh, going from Atlanta to SMU, and now you're in there, you're playing football, you're adjusting to school and football and classes and things like that. How was that?
So I struggled actually, and it was and it's a perfect way to put it. Eye opening. Number one, have complete freedom. You
Yeah,
got to be responsible at that point as an adult. I didn't have any family members in Texas. Number two, there is so much money on that campus. It's ridiculous. I remember this. There was a story about this one girl who was dating a teammate of mine, and she had like stopped talking to her dad for 6 months because he didn't give her a pink Range Rover, one of the big boys. He got her a blue one. I was like, yo, he adopting anybody? You know what I mean? So I was
right,
like,
right, right,
I was
right.
like, man, I'll call him pops. You know what I mean? And so like that blew my mind. Or people who would go and take helicopter rides,
Yeah,
to some spot to go grab lunch. So that was crazy to me. It was almost as if it was out of touch of reality because there was so much money there. You'd see Audi R8s on campus, people driving McLarens and things like that. And so, if anything, it it extended or made it even more excessive the feeling of want and the desire and going, yo, why is
yeah,
it that I'm walking or catching the bus to school, we're riding with
right,
teammates, and we got broken down whips. And like
right,
this person over here, same age as me, I know he hasn't had a job, he or she,
right.
and
Yeah,
they're living our dreams. So that
right.
was a big difference. But then again, going back to the freedom piece, I didn't have the discipline in terms of studying, uh, primarily because for better or for worse, it's not, I can't blame it on my pops. My dad made it so that way I didn't need to study growing up.
Okay.
When I was in fourth grade, fifth grade, and every summer thereafter, he would have me reading his college textbooks and summarizing them in pen, and if I made a
Wow.
mistake I had to re-summarize them. And that's what I did over the summers, that and work out. And
Okay.
so I got to the point where I just didn't need to study. I was always good at test taking because I knew the answer. And so when I got to college, you know, there's a big piece in there called participation points, and that was carrying, the lion's share of the grade, call it 60%. So you can go get 100 on the exam if you want. If you don't show up to class, well, that's 60 minus 100 or 100 minus 60.
Right.
So I had a really tough experience that first year, and I ended up getting suspended for academics.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And so I ended up working in Houston. 'Cause I couldn't go back home. My pop was like, "Nah, we
Right.
ain't doing that."
You gotta
It's
figure
different
it
in
out.
black communities. You know how it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
like, "Yeah,
for sure.
you need to figure that out." So I
Yeah.
stayed. I went to Houston, worked at Domino's Pizza in Pearland, Texas, and I was out there holding that, two pizza, medium toppings, 5.99 on the side of the street while my boys were playing ball on TV. And it was the second year. It was the second year for them. Or would have been for me,
Right.
was the year after our first year going back to a bowl game in 25 years. So I missed that whole experience. And that woke me up, because I had sat there, I talked to a dude who was there, and he was like, yo, you got potential, man. You 19 years old. Me, I'm 36. I got to do this, and now I got to go home to my wife and kids because puts food on the table.
Yeah.
So if you want to be like me, more than welcome. I can give you a couple extra outfits because you can grow into them.
Right, right.
He was like, but if I had the opportunity you had, I wouldn't blow it. And so I got back to school, man, and my GPA never went under a 3.5 again.
Wow.